Coaching the Collingwood Football Club's a massive honour. It's something that I've had a couple of years to prepare for, but I suppose in many ways you're preparing a lot further back than that. As head coach in the first year, it really was very similar to any start of the year as a player. You go through a pre-season and you put the hard work in and you do the hard yards, but you never really know how well you're prepared against an opposition until you come into your first game in round one, so when there's points on the line. So the anxiety leading into that first game against Hawthorn was not dissimilar to being a player and wondering whether you'd done enough and whether you were prepared, and that was something that I felt every year as a player. It was how I felt as a coach, and we didn't get the result that night. But we had 6 players that had played five or less games, and that was exciting in itself. You had 3 debutants coming in, so there was some excitement from that regard. But as a head coach, and the first time as a head coach of a club that you love, of an organisation that you're very proud to be a part of, I suppose at the time I didn't give myself much time to reflect on it, but yeah, it was a great honour.
As Collingwood arrive, to Judd, gets past Ball. The Ball hurt himself again there.
When Bally goes down, I mean, your instant reaction is that you're disappointed for a bloke who just invests so much into his footy and cares so much about where this club and where this team is going. He's a very strong leader for us, and he's proven that in the 8-9 weeks since his recovery and his impact as a leader. But on game day, it's interesting. You're disappointed, but you've still got a game to coach. You've still got a game to play, and I don't think that we handled it all that well as a team. That was clearly our worst performance for the year, and there were some things that went against us early that, and probably tactically and from a coaching perspective, we weren't at our best. But we've taken the lessons out of that.
Accept it and know the love at the football club, Mick, but leave it behind now. Enjoy what you're doing in the media. Criticise our game plan, that's fine, because that's what you're there to do. You're there to break it down as a commentator. But come on, let's not poke people in the eye who have actually given a fair bit of their life to support you along the way.
Look, I'm a big believer that challenges provide opportunity to grow, and failure in its many forms provides that very same opportunity. So the challenges we went through early in the year, whether it be on the field or off the field in regards to commentary that was less than favourable to an individual or to the team, well then that's part of the environment that we're in. We're professional athletes, we're expected to perform. There's expectation around each individual and there's expectations around the organisation. So I welcome that, and I really, it's easy in retrospect, but it really was an opportunity for us to just narrow our focus to the things that we could control and the things that we're in charge of. Mick's working in the media and he's entitled to an opinion. He's doing his job and I think he's doing it particularly well. His perspective about Collingwood is more informed than anyone outside of the footy club. So I take note of his comments, because he obviously knows intimately how the game was played from Collingwood in recent times in particular. Yeah, so I think it was pretty clear after that everyone knew I could deliver a press conference, but the jury was still out on whether I could coach, and it should still be out now. But look, I'm very matter of fact with all that I speak to the public through the media twice a week. Once in the lead up and then once after the game. That's a prerequisite. It's part of the coach's role, and I'm more than happy to speak on behalf of the players and of the club in general. And on that particular occasion, I suppose that is part of the role, and it's part of being a leader at the club, and I thought it was important just to bring the focus and direction back on on what was important, and that is how we're playing on the football field. And there are plenty of people around who want to take and shift that focus into other areas, but in the inner sanctum, I mean, clearly that's all we can control, and that's all we'll focus on. Yeah, pretty hard to spend much time on Anzac Day with the 4-day break. So it was a bit of a whirlwind 5 days, coming off the Port Adelaide game and then straight into the game against Essendon. So a lot of that was about recovery.
Newgall's been good. Side bottom smother important. Quick kick forward by Maxwell. Who's underneath it? Fletcher couldn't get a handle on it. Cloak's there. Well played by Carlisle in the back, or rather Hooper in the back half.
Very little you can do in the last couple of minutes of a game of footy like Anzac Day. I can categorically tell you that there's no chaos in the box. I mean, there's emotion, and obviously there's real investment in what's going out in the footy field. But I've been very happy with the way our coaches' box has operated. I reckon we've been able to make the right calls at the right time. We felt like with the last quarter of the Essendon game that we didn't hold our structures at times, and that we weren't able to. We lost our disciplines. But having said that, we were able to drag it back in that last couple of minutes and score when we needed to, and hold on for what ended up being a really strong win.
Does he go in with the kick to full forward? Cloak, not quite. Blair, Collingwood back in front.
The challenge for us is not to get wrapped up in a 1-point win and think that that we're the be all and end all. And I think we were able to maintain grounded after that and beyond that, and really took the good out of it, but also looked at the improvement areas from that performance, as we think we do every week. And if we stay grounded and look at the good and the bad, well then you're going to get a fairly realistic image of where you are and where you need to get to.
It's Saturday night football at Amy Stadium in Adelaide. It is the Magpies on the road to take on the Adelaide Crows, who are sitting in second position, Collingwood in fifth.
The most encouraging thing about the Adelaide game was once again introducing youth and those guys being able to stand up. Marley Williams and Jamie Elliott playing their first games. Obviously going in with the one key back in Keefe, who didn't end up getting through the match. So there were challenges that we were faced with going into that game, and obviously a rampant Adelaide side who had played and have since played fantastic contested footy, and will be a force to reckon with at the end of this year, no doubt. So that was a great result for us to be able to get away, really focus in on what each player's role was within the team structure, and to have most guys go out and execute that.
Good centering kick, hits the spot. Pendlebury the collect, slips the tackle, bends it around the body. That could be priceless.
I played 4 quarters of footy, and I thought clearly that was our strongest performance to that point.
There's your full stop. There's your heartbreaker.
The Gold Coast and Melbourne games in round 10 and 11 were, once again, I spoke to the playing group, and they're our most important game is our next game. So coming up against those opponents, there were different challenges that presented themselves to the challenges that we'd faced in the first 9 rounds. Winning games that you should win is easier said than done. You still need to go out and do it. The focus needs to be right. You don't need to be that far off your best to expose yourself to a team that might be playing good footy that particular day. So our challenge was just to make sure that we looked after our end of the bargain, and for the most part, I was encouraged by the players that represented the club to be able to do that.
Still to come on the club. Steel Sidebottom is in the studio with some big news, and Bucks wraps up his mid-season review.
It's bizarre. You don't spend a lot of time thinking about it because you just start weeping. But the fact that 4 blokes have got the same injury and they're long-termers, I mean, you wouldn't rate it.